downloadable content,
microtransactions,
DRM,
pre-order DLC,
dislocked content, blind, stupid fucking fanboyism.
What's up, gamers? Welcome to Gamer Rant. My name's Kevin, and today we are going to be doing a game talk on Death Stranding. So, what's the number one problem with Death Stranding? Well, my friend, that would be that it seems that the fans, or just some people in general, cannot separate the man from the art. This is proven when you look at the reviews, and not just journalistic reviews, but even some reviews of people that consider themselves to be a fan of Kojima. They cannot separate the man from the art. It almost seems as if they have issues saying that, hey, this is a bad game. I mean, this game has been described as boring but fun. So, let me explain something really quickly. All right? If I say a game is boring, and then you say the game is fun, that's two different perspectives, two different points of view. But if I say that a game is fun and boring, that makes no inherent sense. Those two words cannot be put together in the same sentence by definition. And that's ultimately what we're ending up at, is this inconsistency. And I think a greater issue here when it comes to the fan base is this dishonesty. Because clearly you have people, just from reading their review, they want to say it's a bad game, but they can't. Or they want to say it's a good game, but for some reason they're trying to stay in the middle. They don't want to give it a fresh apple or a rotten apple. They kind of want to give it in the middle. It's kind of ripe, but it's on its way to rotting itself. And that's a dishonesty toward the art form, toward the creator, and really to themselves as well. I mean, stop beating around the bush. You either like it or you don't. Simple as that. The game cannot be fun and boring at the same time. That's not even my opinion. That's a fucking fact based off of the definitions of the actual words that people keep using to describe this. Another issue that we run into is you'll have somebody that's reviewing the game and they'll be like, well, people have described this as a walking simulator, a hiking simulator, or that it's, it's a giant fetch quest, and they're pretty much accurate in that description. But I enjoyed it. And this same person that lays claim that they enjoyed it in other videos is talking about how they hate fetch quests. So once again, this is somebody being dishonest with themselves and about the game because Kojima. And that seems to be the biggest problem, is people cannot separate the man from the art. Now, I'm an aspiring writer myself. So when I write a chapter in a novel that I'm working on, or a short story, or if I have an idea and I want to portray it to people, specifically, obviously, friends and family, I want them to be honest, because I, as a writer, cannot grow if they are not honest with me. Now, granted, I'm not going to sit here and say that, Kojima is watching YouTube reviews or reading reviews of his game, but at some point he's going to hear at least tidbits from both sides of what people liked and didn't like. As a creator myself, I would want people to be honest about how they truly feel about what I have created. If you don't like it, then say you don't like it and give reasons why. Don't beat around the fucking bush and try to somehow, well, I like this person, I like their work, I like their previous works, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Get out of here with that high horse shit. And that, in a nutshell, is the biggest problem when it comes to Death Stranding. People just can't seem to separate the man from the art. Because are you honestly going to sit there and tell me that you would have went and picked this game up if it did not have Kojima's name on it? And besides that, other issues, ironically, when I first saw this trailer, my first thought wasn't a walking simulator. It was a marketing ploy, a cash grab. Number one, we have Kojima, so there's part of your cash grab. Number two, we have Norman Reedus, and it's not just like he's doing a voice acting in the game. We're going to put his likeness in the game because we have to appeal to the Walking Dead fans for one of the most popular characters in that show. In fact, I've often heard people say that this game is going to sell because it's Kojima. Well, you're 50-50 on that one, all right? It's going to sell because of Kojima and Norman Reedus, who plays a character in, I don't know if he still plays a character, if his character is dead, because the last time I saw The Walking Dead was like fucking season 3, because it became rinse repeat, and that's pretty much fucking boring shit to me. And that's ultimately why it's gonna sell. And you know, when I look at this, I look at it as, what's the point of putting the actor's resemblance in the game? I mean, Jim Sterling's even stated that he couldn't actually see Sam Porter, which is, you know, who Norman Reedus plays. All he saw was Norman Reedus. He didn't feel like this was a character all on its own. He felt like he was controlling and playing Norman Reedus. Very disconnect right there. So, you know, when you have something where, number one, people are, number one, not being honest with themselves and how they feel, it's almost as if they're afraid that they can't give Kojima a bad apple, all right? And obviously a bad apple here is a metaphor for a crappy, shitty game, all right? Because if you look at any kind of creator, and not just creators, but actors, singers, all right? They all have their bad apples. That shitty fucking movie that nobody really likes, and there's nothing wrong with a creator having bad apples. Some of them have more than one. But if you're going to sit there and, number one, be dishonest with yourself and dishonest on how you truly feel about this game, then why are you even opening your mouth in the first place? I actually watched Yang Yang's video where he actually did a discussion after his review, and that was a train wreck upon a nuclear warhead going off, upon an asteroid hitting the Earth, and it just fucking blowing up. It's as if he could not figure out what he wanted to convey or how he wanted to convey it. And it just seemed very dishonest, because when you watch his review, he seemed, well, ironically, I felt that his review was mostly explaining the game instead of actually reviewing the actual game. And that's not how a review is supposed to be. You know, the game is going to have pros, it's going to have cons. Don't be afraid to state those cons or those pros. And that's, of course, because, like I stated, people cannot seem to separate the man from the art. And that's very dishonest to the art form, to the creator themselves, and of course to yourself within of itself. In fact, I have no real association with Kojima. I've never played any of his games. In fact, the only games I am familiar with, other than obviously Death Stranding, because it's his newest one, is the Metal Gear games. That's it. I could not name you any other game that he's actually worked on or done. In fact, I would go out there and dare say that I probably could review this game more objectively and less biased than any Kojima fan, because the one thing that they've continued to prove is they cannot separate the man from the art. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video in some fashion or form, and remember, gamers, if you're not voicing your thoughts and concerns about the bullshit that is in gaming, and of course, the hypocrisy of some gamers, their dishonesty, and they just can't stick to their guns and admit when they enjoy something or admit when they don't like something because, well, Kojima, you just might be a part of the motherfucking problem.